And your own.
Okay, late night from Willowdale. It's early Saturday morning on May 4th. This is going to be, we've done this video, Clayton and I did this video a couple of times, and it was too long and rambly. I'm going to make a couple of points. Okay, I think Justin Trudeau's losing it. I think the federal government is flailing, the Liberal Party is flailing. Nothing gives me more evidence than this than last weekend when the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was in Ottawa, and Justin Trudeau, in the presence of the Japanese Prime Minister, kept referring to how important he places on Canada-China relations. And he did this twice. And that's not only a huge insult to Japan, it's an insult to Canadians. Obviously, the Japanese and the Chinese have very tenuous and kind of nasty.
The cherry blossoms are going. Yeah. Like, I mean,
yeah. There are no cherry blossoms between China and Japan. They have nasty historical relations, and the fact that Trudeau, in the presence of the Japanese Prime Minister, could talk about Canada-Chinese relations is how important they are insulting to Japanese and insulting to Canadians. And that leads me to believe that Trudeau is losing it. Justin Trudeau is losing it. I think the pressure of SNC-Lavalin, I think the pressures of having to deal with the Chinese and the Americans, and the pressures of having to deal with Donald Trump, and having to deal with now 5 provincial premiers who are conservative and don't believe in climate change, or they do believe in climate change, but they don't believe in his version of the carbon tax or whatever. It's just, it's crushing him. He just can't handle it anymore. So that sets us up for an interesting fall election.
I think Justin Trudeau can handle it.
Yeah, either they right the ship.
The alternatives are weird, right? Like,
there's no alternative. Jagmeet Singh and the NDP are nowhere on all the
Green
issues.
Party is kind of weird, but I mean, they could make some gains,
Conservatives,
right?
The Conservatives are a joke, and the Green Party is not going to form government, despite the fact they have some good ideas.
Except for pipelines.
But, but so I think the point of this video, we always talk about Donald Trump losing it and the crisis in American democracy. I think we have a real crisis in Canada. We have a federal government that's totally, I think, off the rails. Trudeau is definitely out to lunch these days. I don't think he can handle the pressure. And we have, so I'm not going to, let's just get to the point.
But he's so hot, though.
We have an incoherent foreign policy. We have an economic policy that is not working. We have a climate change policy that no one wants. So we have a real crisis in Canada. And we have a new provincial government, Alberta, that is at war with British Columbia, another province. And don't get me wrong, it talks about taking, and I don't think Alberta's going to want to. We're not in a constitutional crisis where Alberta's leaving the Federation or anything, but we got lots of problems. And I don't think Trudeau's up to the job. I just don't think he's up to the job. I think he can handle it. He's got to get it together. Okay, so I'm going to make a couple of points here. We need a coherent Canadian foreign policy. And China has played us. And we have no China policy. We don't even have an ambassador there right now because John McCallum just kind of blew up. And I think Trudeau's played the American card well. He's played it well. So let's forget about our relations with the United States. But China has played us. And China, they've arrested some of our citizens. They're blocking our exports, canola, now pork, whatever. And they do it because they can. They are annoyed that we are holding this Huawei executive in Vancouver. and we've done this because the Americans asked us to do it. And they feel they can pressure Canada because Canada's a middle power, and there's not much we can do. But there's a lot we can do. And I'm gonna get right to the point. Canada and China has always had good relations. Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, went to Beijing, or Peking then, in 1971. He was one of the first Western leaders to go to China. He met with Mao Zedong. He met with Zhou Enlai. He did this well before Nixon went a year or so later. The Americans were really annoyed that Trudeau did that. He was the first major Western leader to go to China. And Canadian-Chinese relations have been very good since then. Now China treats us like dirt, like we don't exist. And I think it's time for the Trudeau government to have some spine. There's not much we can do with the Americans. We need them. We need our relations with the United States. We're joined at the hip. But with China, we can show some spine. I think it's time to downgrade our relations. We don't have an ambassador right now. Let's not have one. Let's just downgrade our relations with China. You know, I know there's so many people in the business community and the stooges who want to have better relations with China. Forget it.
But China's an interesting case study in terms of free markets and competitiveness. Because, I mean, Huawei, for instance, is like, kind of government protected and like competitive. And I can't name names, but I mean, apparently there's a capitalistic, attitude.
Right.
Yeah.
Huawei, I don't want to get into an anti-Chinese thing, and Huawei
like there's countries outside of the Five Eyes that still trust Huawei.
Yeah, the Brits.
I'm not saying it's right,
but the Brits trust Huawei, and Canada hasn't made a decision on that. But China has treated Canada like dirt, and I don't think Canada has to put up with it. And I think we should, downgrade our relations with China. And in fact,
but how does that affect other countries that upgrade with their technology, right?
Well, you know what? Canada needs to take a spine. They've treated us like dirt. We've always had great relations with the Chinese, and Chinese community. Canada's Chinese community in Canada is huge. It's like, oh my God, like Canada and China are very close. Like, between Vancouver and China, Toronto and China, there's so many connections. But at some point, if we're going to be treated like dirt, we don't deserve it. We didn't deserve it. You're going to block our exports for no reason, other than you're annoyed at the U.S. and you're taking it out in Canada. No. Canada needs to take a stance. Canada needs a coherent China policy. It needs a coherent foreign policy. Over the last year, the Saudis went after Canada. Like other countries have gone after Canada. I'm sorry. Canada needs to have a coherent policy. Yes, we should have no relations with Saudi Arabia. I mean, that's just the most despicable country, most vile country on the planet Earth. We should have downgraded relations with Russia, which we kind of already do. We should have downgraded relations with China, despite all the pushback from the business community. We should have downgraded relations with Turkey. We should have no relations with Egypt, another despicable country. Canada needs to have a spine in foreign affairs, have a coherent policy. Who we're going to trade with, who we're going to deal with.
What was the last major?
The world needs Canada more than Canada needs the world. They need our resources. They need all the things. So, and yet Trudeau has yet to come up with a coherent foreign policy, despite the fact that we have this so-called star foreign minister in Chrystia Freeland. What the hell is she doing? I don't guess. She hasn't even been to China yet to talk about this crisis in Chinese-Canadian relations. So, yeah, we're heading to an election. Unfortunately, the opposition is weak. Andrew Scheer, probably can't even place Saskatchewan on a map of Canada. And Jagmeet Singh is so out of it. And the Green Party, even though it's led by an intelligent person, Elizabeth May, they're not going to form government. So, yeah, we're in a real crisis. Canada, as a middle power, has a chance to do a lot of things in the world. And we've taken some good things. We've tried to lead on Venezuela. Venezuela's in a stalemate right now, but hopefully things will work out. I think Maduro needs to go, and I think if Canada can facilitate a peaceful solution to that, that would be great. I think Canada needs to enhance its relationship with the Americas, Mexico, Latin America, then South America. We need to certainly enhance our relations with Western Europe. We have a free trade with them, and yeah. But we need a coherent foreign policy, and we don't get it. We're not getting it, and we have a liberal government that seems to be just totally incoherent when it comes to foreign policy. Forget about domestic policy. Let's not even talk about climate change and all that. It just seems so incoherent. And we need, this is a time for Canada to lead. The U.S. is useless. Britain is a joke. Western Europe, France and Germany, they're caught up in domestic politics, and Canada's the one country that can actually take a lead. And under Trudeau, he just seems so overwhelmed, and that's too bad. But the lead on this video is Canada needs to stand up to China and downgrade to stand up to China to downgrade its relations with that country. It's time for Canada to humiliate China and say, no, you've treated us like dirt, and you're not going to do that anymore. On that note,
Tuja Tavala Amanjari.
Tuja Tavala Amanjari.
Okay.